Hello, my name is Daniel Lee and welcome to my presentation titled Popular Music Education for the Populous, a look at pedagogical responses to an increasing diversity in student cohorts of Australian popular music courses, where I will be presenting findings from my recent PhD research on popular music in higher education. First up, an historical foundation. The first bachelor degree level course in Australia in popular music was offered by what is now Southern Cross University in Lismore in 1986. By the time of Hanan's report on popular music education in Australia in the year 2000, there were 8 universities offering courses that included popular music education. Maybe not all of them as a major focus, but often what he described as servicing aspects of the popular music industry, which included units in production, marketing, etc., and sometimes even performance units. By the time of data collection for my study, Semester 1 2018, there were 25 institutions in Australia offering bachelor degree, so Australian Qualifications Framework Level 7 courses in popular music. This comprised 17 universities, 3 TAFE colleges and 5 private institutions. With this growth in course numbers has come an increase in diversity of course design and an increasing range of student diversity in terms of cultural and educational backgrounds. This has also included a developing sense of definitional boundaries of just exactly what popular music is or is not, both from the course designers and the students themselves, for the purpose of framing the curricular content. The Oxford Companion to Australian Music states, I quote, "In Australia, a parliamentary report on the music industry applied the term contemporary music generally to rock music, and this usage has gained widespread currency, causing considerable confusion." End quote. Music Australia, a national umbrella body, in their 2016 National Contemporary Music Plan, state the following, I quote, "Contemporary music can be described as blues, country, electronic, dance, experimental, folk, funk, hip-hop, jazz, gospel, metal, pop, R&B, rock, roots, world music, and any other popular music currently being written, recorded and performed." End quote. Now, this definition is rather uselessly ambiguous. However, it does broadly describe the content of popular music courses in Australian higher education. Sarah and colleagues defined popular music as a key cultural expression, involving perceptually discrete elements, and it is subject to evolutionary processes. In attempting to define popular music, the commercial inclination of the music is typically a major factor. Schucker equated the term popular with commercial cultural forms of entertainment and regarded markets as an inescapable feature of popular music. He suggested only the most general definitions can be offered, and he provided the following definition of popular music. Quote, "The diverse range of popular music genres produced in commodity form, largely but not exclusively for a youth market, primarily Anglo-American in origin or imitative of its forms, since the early 1950s and now in global scope." End quote. On to the methodology. Data were collected from 3 sources: surveys and interviews of students, alumni and educators of popular music courses, and industry documents in the form of course outlines and unit descriptors of every core unit of every course. This data corpus was analysed using the procedures of Inductive Thematic Analysis as described by Brown and Clark, with further methodological support from the works of Sarantakos and Bryman. 5 themes were generated from the data. Be yourself. Students are encouraged to develop their own voice. Global spectra. The internet has had a profound influence on both music and education, breaking down geographical boundaries. Vast array. Among the 25 courses examined, diverse curriculum designs and content were observed. Style agnostic. Defining popular music was found to be difficult. Some course designers have embraced this difficulty and incorporate undefined genre boundaries into the course curricula, and jazz symbiosis. Many courses incorporate jazz content and associated pedagogical practices. This paper presents and discusses the thematic codes diversity, variety, content, and equity. Each of these codes informed all 5 of the above themes in various ways, thereby creating a thematic overlap. There is an emerging notion in the literature of genre ambiguity in younger music consumers. This development has been and continues to be driven by technological advances. The introduction of the internet has brought further advances in access and portability of music and has continued to alter youth's relationship with music. Melissa Advief observed that one of the ways this is evolving is new ways to categorise music and define genre in what is described as a folksonomy, a type of classification that is created by the users. She observed young people are now categorising music with a bottom-up strategy, using descriptors in place of commercially imposed genres. These descriptors are extremely personal. They are self-reflectively developed and are an extension of each individual's identity. Descriptors used by participants in ABVIF's study include dark, awesome, catchy, cute, love it, sexy, brutal, guilty pleasure, and what the hell happened to my music taste? This phenomenon is challenging the ontology of music, encouraging a more subjective experience to define what music is for each individual. Contemporary popular music is now considered a valid and in fact vital subject in musicological and sociological research. The most prevalent topics attracting research in popular music and related course design include networking, peer learning, industry relevance, and portfolio careers. Barton examined the relationship between music, culture and society and how this influences teaching and learning in music. Her observations conclude that teaching in institutionalised settings has remained largely unaffected by cultural developments, which may lead to potential disengagement. She stated the purpose of music is often to affirm cultural and social identities, and music education plays a critical role in conveying cultural knowledge. Grant framed her research with reference to the UNESCO Convention for the Safeguarding of Intangible Cultural Heritage and the International Music Council report, The Protection and Promotion of Musical Diversity. She sees these documents as calls to arms for researchers to address the complex challenges of sustaining and revitalising small music genres. She claimed we are only just beginning to understand the influence of global communications technologies on geographically derived music genres and calls for researchers to bring clarity and understanding so that communities can establish sustainable futures for their musics. Hernand claimed the development of popular music courses has relieved an equity of access issue, allowing self-taught popular music students the same opportunities of higher education as privately taught classical students. Kastner differentiated between eclectic and comprehensive music education philosophies, stating eclecticism connotes using different approaches, not necessarily including all approaches at any one given time. This description of eclectic pedagogy describes the broad range of popular music courses in Australia which exhibit a variety of curriculum design and pedagogical practice. Findings. The code's diversity and variety, derived via the inductive thematic approach, were informed by data present in all subsets of the data corpus and from all three institution types. The term diversity was found to be most frequently applied to genre foci. However, it was also used by some participants in reference to student diversity and future audiences whom the graduates may encounter. One of the purposes of diversity in the course content observed in the interview data was to prepare students for a career in education. Institutions that recognised a large percentage of their graduates go on to become educators in some form encouraged their students to have a more diverse knowledge and skill set than is necessary for a career as an instrumental soloist. Another purpose of diversity found in the data corpus was to prepare students for a portfolio career in music, combining a diverse range of income streams. A focus of the research regarded music communities and how the course content influences graduates' involvement in communities. Content diversity was also seen as a key component in preparing students for community involvement both during the course and post-graduation. One method of including diverse content in the curricula is the employment of guest lecturers. These represented a diverse range of practitioners across the industry and included local persons as well as international presenters. At Donner's University, multiple lecturers were engaged to deliver a single unit, thus ensuring a diverse range of teaching styles and expertise. Cultural awareness and cultural diversity in the curriculum content were strong themes in the data corpus. Reference to the study of musics from international cultures outnumbered references to Australian culture. World music was a recurring topic in the documents. However, the definition of world music within the data seems ambiguous. According to the data, the study of world music seems to include any music from non-Western cultures or any music not covered by the jazz, popular, classical or Western art music identifiers. 8 courses have core units on the topic of world music. Units incorporating the study of world music were also found to be a common elective option and were found in 12 course outlines. Among the remaining 5 courses, no data from any of the 3 data sources mentioned world music. Most of the statements in dataset 2 regarding the incorporation of world music in the curricula of popular music courses imply general musicological concepts. There is very little evidence in the documentary dataset to suggest that the inclusion of world music content is intended to influence the performance styles of graduates. The study of world music had a primarily cognitive function. Only 3 statements in the dataset 2 were found to explicitly assert a link between the study of world music and the application of performance skills. The statement from the University of New England doesn't really convey how students would apply their understanding. However, the one from JMC Academy is more explicit, implying the students are able to create and perform in a world music style. Another source of world music influence evident in the data was the increasing presence of international students diversifying the cohort. In some cases, these students were encouraged to bring music from their own cultures and share it among the broader student cohort. This also included educators taking deliberate steps to incorporate music from the students' backgrounds into the curriculum. Warren observed international students had also autonomously brought their own cultural influence into the course. The differences in design between the various courses offers a prospective student a variety of options. There are courses that are modelled on the conservatoire design with contemporary popular music content. There are also courses that have steered away from that tradition and have been deliberately designed to encompass new pedagogical approaches unique to popular music learning styles. 2 courses focus exclusively on original compositions and developing the students' personal portfolios. Some courses focus on industry skills or marketing yourself as a musician, with little attention to instrumental performance development. However, perhaps the most notable diversity was in the various courses' frameworks' inherent definition of what was, or in some cases was not, included under the banner of popular music. 3 of the courses are combined studies in jazz and popular music. One course includes Western art music in its core curriculum content with the intent of creating well-rounded graduates. Autonomy in the popular music courses was expressed in many aspects of course design, curriculum content, and pedagogical practices, and was ubiquitous throughout the data. The word autonomy appeared in unit descriptors from all 3 institution types and was a common topic raised in the survey data and was therefore addressed in the interviews. In many of the unit descriptors, a freedom of choice regarding repertoire or genre expression was often conveyed. A common thread within the Student Autonomy Code was the concept of developing greater levels of autonomy as the course progressed. Students in the early semesters would be taught more foundational fundamentals, and as the course developed chronologically, students would be given more freedom to explore their chosen directions. However, this concept of developing autonomy as courses progressed was not universal. Some courses encouraged full autonomy from the very beginning. Another common theme was peer learning. Peer learning practices were common but not ubiquitous among the courses. Data in all 3 datasets from 64% of the courses explicitly referenced peer learning practices. However, there was a multiplicity of modes regarding how peer learning practices were engaged with. For example, at one institute, the 3rd-year students conducted masterclasses for the lower year level students, thereby instituting a reciprocal peer-to-peer approach. Other examples of the range of peer learning approaches include forums, peer tutoring, performance workshops, and vertical collaboration, including songwriting. Peer assessment is also a common theme. Concepts of peer assessment, peer critique, and peer feedback were present in unit descriptors collected from 14 of the institutions and were found among all 3 institution types. The diversity of options present in the Australian popular music higher education sector encompasses other factors that may influence prospective students, including course duration and study modes, options for full-time or part-time study, online, offline or blended study modes, and the variety of elective possibilities and double majors. This latter point was seen as valuable by some student interviewees, one explaining how it gives more options for postgraduate studies. This research found an increasing diversity in student cohorts in respect to their cultural backgrounds, educational experiences, and personal approaches to genre. This is reflected in the increasingly broad approaches to curricula and pedagogy present in the popular music courses in Australian higher education. A prevalent topic across the entire data corpus, and specifically informing the Be Yourself theme, was the concept of students developing their own musical voice. This was found to be deeply ingrained in the Australian popular music psyche. Green found nurturing this sense of autonomy in informal learning settings to be beneficial and in fact an integral practice in popular music education. Furthermore, the different approaches to course design and curriculum content reflects the diversity in the 21st century music industry. Particularly discussing contemporary guitar, Bell stated, "Given the guitar's mass popularity, it follows that the guitar learning community is vast and diverse. Thus, a vast array of course designs may help to accommodate this eclectic learning community and the broader popular music industry." During an interview, Brad, a university educator, highlighted the significance of the diversity of courses for the education sector. And I quote, "We've got two other rival institutions, if you like, competitors or other options for students, all within a 15-minute drive of each other." End quote. This competition is significant culturally, sociologically and economically, and particularly significant when considering the potential for international student markets in Australia. It also provides a greater equity of access to tertiary music education by offering students from diverse cultural backgrounds and from diverse educational access to pedagogical designs that may better suit them as individuals. Also, with many options and a large number of institutions offering popular music education at this level, there are implications for the future prospects of music education more broadly. This includes fresh vibrancy among popular music education across primary and secondary sectors, as graduates of higher education popular music courses frequently engage with education as part of their portfolio careers. By exploring and designing their own curricula, often in an effort to distance popular music education from the conservatoire model, institutions in this sample are being themselves, thus engaging with Australia's cultural heritage at an institutional level. This is significant because it is one mode by which Australia's popular music cultural heritage is defined and valued. This has the potential to encourage Australian popular music students to maximally explore their own voice, and in so doing, engage with an existing cultural heritage and simultaneously develop new cultural capital. Furthermore, this demonstrates UNESCO's second aim for arts education, to develop individual capabilities, and is therefore evidence of a response to Grant's call to arms mentioned in the literature. Also, as being one's self is a culturally significant component of Australian popular music, the study's findings reveal that Australian popular music higher education sector, by broadening the equity of access, is also demonstrating UNESCO's first aim of arts education, to uphold the human right to education and cultural participation. A deliberately agnostic approach to genre, as generally adopted by the Australian popular music higher education sector, has led to a greater equity of access for prospective students. This in turn leads to greater student autonomy within the courses regarding repertoire, which in turn also feeds the deliberately agnostic approach to genre, creating a positive feedback loop. This loop is naturally temporal as the genre of popular music is influenced by evolving trends. However, it is also noted this feedback loop runs in both directions, as an open approach to genre also allows greater student autonomy, which in turn allows greater equity of access to higher education in popular music. This in turn is a primary reason behind the deliberately agnostic approach to genre boundaries within popular music higher education in Australian institutions. The study investigated Australian Qualifications Framework Level 7 popular music courses with a specific focus on pedagogical practices and curricular content. A further focus was specifically examining guitar tuition within the scope of the study. The most significant finding was that there was no universal approach to popular music education within the Australian higher education sector, and no universal framework to the definitional genre boundaries of what is or is not included in the curricula. Among the 25 courses examined, no two were the same. The one most common feature was student-centred approaches, and this most often related to the choice of repertoire, and thus definitions of popular music genre boundaries. This student-centred genre ambiguity was most often employed to offer students and prospective students who wished to study music at Australian Qualifications Level 7 but didn't wish to study Western art music or jazz, the greatest autonomy regarding their personal choice of performance style. This may have long-term cultural repercussions as these students graduate and enter the industry, including involvement in education as an income stream as part of their portfolio careers. Thanks for listening.